Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila reporting from Greater Orlando, and I'm here with Timbrel Hildebrand reporting from Crowley, Texas. And today we're going to be talking about Maleficent, since we talked about Sleeping Beauty earlier today. So we're going to talk about this new rendition of it. What did we think of it?
Personally, I like the movie.
You liked it?
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So I'm gonna give some backstory about it a little bit. So the biggest, definitely the biggest headliner of this film would be Angelina Jolie in the role of Maleficent. So she was attached to the project since like 2010, back when Tim Burton was supposed to direct the film. But then he chose not to pursue it. But Jolie's desire to play the role stemmed from her love of the character when she was like a little girl. So that makes sense. So Linda Wolverton was commissioned to write the script for the film, and in January of 2012, Disney announced that Robert Stromberg was going to replace Tim Burton. And before this, I think this was his first director. This was his director debut. He never directed a film before, but he was like a production designer on Alice in Wonderland and Oz the Great and Powerful. So and so they got Disney got Joe Roth, Don Hahn, and Richard D. Zanuck to be producers of the film, but Zanuck ended up passing away later in 2012. So Roth said the film could not have been made if Jolie had not agreed to take part in the role. So like that's kind of like how films work. Like sometimes they need like a big star or a big director attached to the script in order for it to get greenlit first. So that was the case for this film. So in March of 2012, Ellie Fanning, is it Elle Fanning? Elle
Elle
Fanning,
Fanning.
Elle Fanning was reported to be in talks to be cast as the role of Princess Aurora, or the Sleeping Beauty herself. So her casting was officially announced in May of 2012, along with Sholto Copley to play King Stefan, um, who was originally supposed to be the half human, half fairy son of a human king, uh, along with Imelda Staunton and Miranda Richardson as Queen Ula, who was originally described as a fairy queen, who was supposed to be Maleficent's aunt. Then they cast Kenneth Cranham as the king, King Whitebeard. I don't know his name. So Sam Riley as Diaval, who was originally Diablo in the original, the Raven, um, and Leslie Manville. So Stromberg highlighted this really good contrast between the characters of Aurora and Maleficent, calling like Aurora the beacon of light, and looking forward to the blinding but the darkness of Maleficent. Ooh. So there's that juxtaposition within the characters, and that's pretty much the story of Maleficent.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. So what do you think about how do you think Stromberg did as his first time directing?
I mean, personally, he had two really great lead actresses along with a great actor playing King Stefan to work with. So
Hmm.
that probably definitely helped him because he wouldn't have had much to struggle with since these performers are already so ridiculously talented. But yeah, I'd say he did a good job. I liked all of the characters in the movie and
Hmm.
all the actors playing them,
Yeah, you can.
performances and whatnot.
Yeah, you can definitely see his production design background within the film because of the
Oh
sets
yeah,
and
it's
everything.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great. He definitely leaned into that, which I could respect, especially like uh, focusing on your strengths within a film. And it's kind of also really tough for a person to direct for the first time, especially with something like as big, like a big budget film like this.
For
So
sure.
so like I've heard like so many stories about like directors who start off like in the independent scene, and then all of a sudden they shoot right up to like they have to like with these big studio films, and then they like crash and burn hard. Uh, like what happened with Josh Trank. Remember him?
don't know who that is.
Okay, well, he is the guy who made Chronicle. Um,
The one with the guy. It's like mockumentary, and he has superpowers.
yeah, that's it. Uh,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah, well, he made well, yeah, it was Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan. Uh,
Yeah,
so he made Chronicle, and then he right after that he was given 20th Century Fox came to him saying, "Hey, we want you to make the Fantastic Four movie." So he ended up
yeah,
making.
but I heard he kind of got kicked out of his own movie for that.
Yeah, I mean,
So I
yeah,
don't really blame him completely for that because I know the studio made a lot of changes.
yeah. Do you think will we ever get like a cut, like a
No
Trank
one's
cut?
asking for it, so I doubt
Oh,
it.
okay. But we are gonna get a Snyder cut of Justice League.
I am excited about that.
Okay, are you gonna get HBO Max?
I don't know.
Okay. So back to Maleficent. Let's talk about the Angelina Jolie's performance because that's like the biggest thing of this film. What did we think of it?
Oh yeah, she's great. I mean, Angelina Jolie's already a phenomenal performer, so I mean, it's not a huge surprise that she did great. I mean, she's gorgeous, she's talented. I enjoyed her.
Like it was definitely like the highlight of the film. Like you can tell like she was really into it. Like she was really
But I'll
into
be
this
honest,
character.
I don't think I've seen Angelina Jolie in anything else except this.
You have
It's
never seen her.
weird.
Yeah, that
I
is kind
know
of
it's
interesting.
weird, but I've never really seen anything else that she's been in.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I can't think of anything else either. Like right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's been in so much. I don't know. But
like
anyway, yeah, she definitely, I mean, it makes sense. She's the title character. But yeah, I think she did a great job. I think she does a very convincing British accent, so that wasn't distracting.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, she did great. I loved her as Maleficent.
mm-hmm.
She showed that dark side and her softer side.
Yeah. Do we do we think that she like the character did a good job playing both like the villain and then also ended up being the hero?
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was fun. I was kind of hoping that they were going to show her why she turned evil, but instead they kind of like changed it. So, but I was fine with that too. It was cool to see her be good too. So either or, I think she did pretty well.
Yeah. So what do we think about like the whole backstory between like the Moors and the humans? Like there's like a divided kingdom and they like attack each other for some reason.
I thought it was interesting. Thought it added a little bit of, I guess, substance to the story.
Yeah, like a forbidden romance between Maleficent and Stefan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So so what do we think about Stefan now that we're on that topic?
Oh, the guy who plays Stefan is great. I absolutely love him. I've only seen him in I think one other thing, but he was excellent in that. And this was the first thing I ever saw him in, and he's great. I think he does an awesome job. He's a great antagonist. He's very you feel bad for him at first, but then you kind of see him transform into sort of this monster, and I think he does a great job of that.
Yeah.
Very compelling villain.
Did you see him in District 9?
No, but I saw him in. Well, actually, I take that back. I've seen him in two movies. I saw him in The A Team, where he played Murdoch, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I saw him in that robot movie Chappie, where you don't really see him, but he's playing the main robot, sort of like a motion capture, and he did a good job with that too.
Oh, it's not. He was Chappie?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. That's talent
I
there.
believe so at least. Yeah.
All right. So there's that very interesting character. Uh, do we like, because I know he ends up becoming like insane and becomes like obsessed with uh, finding or capturing Maleficent. And we see that as he's like talking to the wings as his wife dies.
Yeah.
So like we could see like the horrors of ambition and all that kind of stuff because he wanted to live in the castle no matter what because that's what his main goal was.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then he was willing to do anything to get it, and that's why he betrayed Maleficent and cut off her wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we think like the wings represent in this film?
I mean, I guess in a way it kind of represents her freedom. And it was, and it's almost, it kind of represents like, I suppose, the good and the evil because she was, fairly good when she had her wings, and then it got chopped off, and that kind of was the catalyst that made her turn darker. And then when she got the wings back, that was when she was good again. So I don't know, maybe that kind of reflects like her old life, her old way of life, good life, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was actually kind of disappointed when Maleficent did not turn into a dragon in this film.
Oh yeah, that is kind of disappointing. She never turned into. Did she never turn into a dragon? I thought she did.
Well,
No, she
she
turned the bird into a dragon.
yeah, she turns the bird into the dragon.
Yeah, that is disappointing. I would have liked to see her turn into a dragon, but I mean, I guess we kind of got it since she turned the bird into one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess beggars can't be choosers.
For
So,
sure.
since we're on the character of Diaval, like, what do we think about him?
Oh, I absolutely love him. I love that character. That actor is great. I haven't really seen him in anything else, but I thought he was great in this. He wasn't so he provided a little bit of levity, but also he kind of acted as a muse for Maleficent throughout the movie because he kind of opened her eyes to, I guess, the goodness in herself, or that she cared about Aurora and stuff like that. He was her helper, and I also thought it was funny how he got angry when she turned him into a dog. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, because like dogs eat birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also like because he would say like to Maleficent that like, hey, look, true love is gonna break the curse, and she's like, it doesn't exist, and then but he would be like, I'm pretty sure it does, because it's cool or
Yeah.
something. so so yeah, so he's like pretty much like his voice, the voice of reason in this film,
Yeah.
at least to Maleficent. And then we go to like the three fairies, who I believe are different names. They have different names in
Yeah,
this
they
one.
gave them different names in this version. I'm
Well,
not sure why.
yeah, I'm
Maybe it
not
was
sure
a
why either.
licensing issue.
Yeah, probably
But I don't
licensing
see why
with
it would
themselves.
be because it's Disney. But I don't know. I don't know why they chose to change it.
Yeah, they changed them to Flittle, Knotgrass, and Thistletwit.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
I don't know why either. I like the original names.
Yeah,
And so, in this one, there were kind of more bumbling morons in this one.
idiots. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
I
like,
don't particularly like that.
really, why not?
Well, I mean, of course it works for the movie because you want Maleficent to seem like her guiding figure. But man, like the fairies were the heroes in Sleeping Beauty. They were awesome. They were smart. They were funny, and they were strong. But in this, they're just kind of, you know, bumbling idiots, kind of like what you said.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a shame.
Like, and then there would be like, they would constantly like they. It's obvious that they had no idea how to raise a kid.
Which
So
was funny. I'll give them that. It was funny. It provided a little bit of comic relief.
yeah.
But still, I'm kind of like, why did you do the fairies like that?
Yeah. So yeah, so Maleficent had to step up and raise Aurora from like the background and everything.
Yeah.
And uh, so and then also during that time, Maleficent is all like doing epic pranks on them.
That was kind of funny.
They were like,
I thought when she made it rain inside the house and Diavo was looking at her like, seriously? He goes, and she's like, oh, come on, that's funny.
yeah, and she's like epic prank style, and then she's like, subscribe to my prank channel, and then I was
Yeah.
like, absolutely, I'll ring that bell. And then so then we see like Aurora come into her own, and like the biggest thing, like her big, I think like her big purpose of this film is to help Maleficent rediscover her humanity. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So how do we like that, like that transition that Maleficent had from being super evil to being good again with the help of
I
Aurora?
I thought it was cool. I thought it worked because it wasn't necessarily abrupt since she had been kind of caring for her whole life. And then when, they hung out together, she began to see like Aurora's, like spirit and started to care about her. So I thought it was interesting that Aurora kind of helped her discover her goodness again, and I thought it was believable because Aurora is depicted as such a like light-hearted spirit. One of the parts that I think is particularly funny is when Maleficent knocks her out, takes her to the grove, and wakes her up. And instead of waking up and being freaked out that she's in a place she doesn't recognize, she's just smiling and super happy. And so I thought that was interesting and really spoke to her kind of like childlike wonderment.
Oh yeah, and that was pretty cool. It's so after that, like Maleficent, like pretty much becomes like a more mother figure to her,
Yeah,
and then like, oh, they changed who kisses her to make her awake. Um,
yeah.
And in this version, it wasn't Philip; it was Maleficent herself. So what do
Yes.
we think about that?
Well, I mean, I think that makes sense given the trend of the movie because it's all about Maleficent. So they're all pushing on the things like true love's kiss is a lie, but they're more emphasizing that true love, uh, it has different forms. It's not just the romantic kind. And also, I mean, it's clear that they're making fun of the classic trope of falling in love with someone right after you meet them. So they were kind of making fun of that too. I thought that was kind of funny when they just kind of dropped Philip in front of the door. That actor, by the way, I absolutely love him. Brenton Thwaites. He was in the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean movie. He's a phenomenal actor. He was in The Giver and stuff. So I really enjoyed his 16 seconds in this movie. So it was cool that they made us at least like Philip before all of this happened. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think it made sense because it was mainly about Maleficent and her love with Aurora, not Philip's love with her.
yeah. Like he was Henry Turner in
Hello,
Yes,
Nathaniel.
oh
loved him. He's a
It's
great actor.
6:45.
yes.
Yes,
What we said?
I was just saying he's a great actor. That's all.
Oh, okay, sorry. So oh yeah, so there's Disney was at this time, especially in the early 2010s, where they were trying to show like true love was not just between the romance, as you said, but it's like it could be like a familial thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, like because Maleficent was like a mother to Aurora, and when she kissed her head, they were like, "That's all. That's true love. That could be true love," and it is, and
Hmm.
that broke the curse. And it also kind of like showed how, kind of because Frozen came out a year before this.
It
Uh,
did.
so and that also had a similar thing about like true love's kiss or whatever.
Yeah.
Except in that one, it was amongst sisters and it was a hug.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like they were trying to like say that love can be like between family and not just between like a romantic thing. And I think that's a
Yeah.
pretty. You think like that would be a better message to tell people.
I mean, I think it's an important message to tell people. I don't know if it's necessarily better, but it's definitely, well, I guess in the sense that it's more believable and more relevant, then yes, it would be a more important message to tell people than the classic, I guess, knight in shining armor kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely new. It's definitely like a fresher take on it. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like we're back to Philip. He wasn't in there for very long, but
No.
he was there. Like he was still a pretty good character. Like
Oh yeah, I enjoyed him. I was surprised how quick they made him very likable in the few minutes that he was on screen, which is impressive because they could have easily just thrown in some other pretty actor who I think it's because Brenton Thwaites is so talented that and Elle Fanning is also so talented that you just kind of liked them the minute they met. It was kind of like, oh, they're so cute. So, I enjoyed Philip. I particularly liked it when they opened the doors right after Maleficent dropped him in front of the bedroom, and he just goes, "I'm quite embarrassed to say that I don't know where I am." I found that very humorous.
that was a great British accent, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on that. But
Nice.
but yeah, I enjoyed him, and maybe it's just because I like the actor, but I think that he was a very likable character. He was respectful of Aurora, even in their first, interaction and whatnot. So it made you want to root for him still, even though, he wasn't that big of a character.
Yeah, and even like when the fairies got him to trying to like get him to kiss Aurora asleep, he was also kind of like a little bit hesitant on it. Like,
Yeah.
what? Why do, kiss this girl asleep? I don't know.
Well, like, we just met. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but then they're like, it's a curse, and he's like, a curse, and then they're like,
Oh,
just
one of my favorite memories of watching this movie is I was watching it with my sister one time, and we got to that part where they were trying to get him to kiss Aurora, and he's leaning forward and he leans back and goes, "A curse, you say?" And my sister goes, "Is it contagious?" or something like that. It was funny.
oh
Oh
yeah,
no,
we
I said that. Never mind, I said that, but it was funny.
yeah, and then we'll be like, oh snap, we got to quarantine now. We got to
Right.
self distance. We're socially distanced
Yikes.
now. So yeah, there's that, and I liked how after Aurora came like the queen of the unified nations, Philip still comes back And
Yeah, it's
then,
like, you still want them to get together. You're like, oh, they're cute. I hope that works out.
hmm so what do you think about Elle Fanning in this film?
Oh, I think she's cute. She doesn't do the best British accent, but she's a very talented actress, so I think that kind of makes up for it. She's very cute and pretty, so I think she really encapsulates, I guess, the childlikeness of Sleeping Beauty that you don't usually see, at least that you don't really see in the original movie. So I thought that was neat because she was just a lot of fun. She's always smiling, goofing around. I think she made Aurora very likable.
Yeah, especially like with that character, because I know that when the fairies were giving the baby Aurora the gifts, one of them was beauty, and the other one was to never be sad,
It was happiness. Yeah.
happiness. Is that what she said?
Yeah, something like that. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't remember.
So yeah, so she definitely really like shows that on screen. Like she
Yeah,
definitely
for
just
sure.
personifies it. So, any final thoughts about Maleficent?
I think it's a fun movie. Check it out. It's a cool twist on an old tale. Angelina Jolie, honestly, I'd watch it just for her because she's great.
Yes, absolutely. Uh, if you're if anything an Angelina Jolie fan, watch this film because she definitely knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, she's great.
hmm And so, what do you think? Like, how do you think this film compares to the original Sleeping Beauty?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's very different, and I think because it's very different, it works. It doesn't feel like they're trying to like in the more recent Disney reboots. What? Um,
Yeah.
it like they're kind of doing what I liked so much about that Cinderella live action thing they did a little while ago. In that they kind of took a simple story and just kind of told a new one, within the parameters of what was already known.
Right.
So it was a new story. It wasn't so much of a retelling as it was a new story with familiar parameters. So I thought that worked because they made it their own. I
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. And it was definitely not like The Lion King where it was just a shot for shot remake.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I remember when I was watching The Lion King in the theaters, I was like, I feel like I watched this film before.
Uh, I honestly, I didn't. I was working at a movie theater at the time when that came out, and they were doing a free showing of it for some of the employees, and some of my friends were going, and that's the only reason I went. And about like midway through the movie, I was like, I kind of want to just leave. I know how it's gonna end, and this isn't very good.
Oh, snap. Why don't you just, like, we gotta probably just go home and just watch the original? Because it was.
I don't know. I know it just made me want to watch the original one because I'm like, this is so not great. But that's neither here nor there. This movie is pretty good.
Yeah.
Maleficent is good.
Yeah.
Worth watching.
I like.
I can't vouch for the sequel. It looks a little iffy, but this one's definitely good.
Yes. Definitely check it out. The visuals are gorgeous. The story is
Oh, for
definitely
sure.
fresh. The performances are really good. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really good. What would you rate this film?
Um, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 7 out of 10 as well. So I would definitely recommend it. Check it out. And that's that. I've been Nathaniel Avila, and you have been Timbrel Hildebrand, right?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.